Many artists and bands in the musical world have managed to rock the world with their music. Today, we'll be talking about the popular American rock band Lynyrd Skynyrd, a group of musical artists who will always remain unforgettable. Not only did they make good music, but they also made a special place in people's hearts. So come along as we tell you about their lives as well as the frightening ending of their lives. The band was formed in the summer of 1964 in Robert E. Lee High School, Jacksonville, Florida. Ronnie Van Zant, Bob Burns, Larry Johnstrom, Alan Collins, and Gary Rossington decided to name the band My Backyard. The name came from the fact that they were a small band of high school teens who would play their music in their backyard. Shortly afterward, the name was changed to the Noble Five, and then in 1968, it was changed to 1%. However, after being taunted about the name 1%, Bob came up with a new name, Lynyrd Skynyrd. This was their PE teacher's name. The teacher used to disapprove of the boys having long hair and would send them to the principal's office for their long hair. They named the band as a way to mock him by modifying his real name Lynyrd Skynyrd to Lynyrd Skynyrd. Despite this, the band and Lynyrd Skynyrd soon got along well, and the band would even invite Lynyrd to their concerts. They initially started by playing in restaurants, bars, and public areas. The people started getting impressed by them, and they became the top band in Jacksonville. In 1973, the band comprised Ronnie Van Zant, Billy Powell, Alan Collins, Bob Burns, and Leon Wilkeson. They released their first album called Pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd with their most famous songs. These include Tuesday's Gone, Gimme 3 Steps, Simple Man, and their most successful song called Freebird. The band members of Lynyrd Skynyrd were changed multiple times, but the final members were Ronnie Van Zant as the lead singer, Gary Rossington as a guitarist, Billy Powell as the pianist, Leon Wilkeson as the bassist, Alan Collins as a guitarist, Artemis Pyle as the drummer, and Steve Gaines, who is also a guitarist. In 1974, Lynyrd Skynyrd released Second Helping, with the album cover being based on the 60s and 70s vintage vibe. The album became Skynyrd's second most successful album. It consisted of the hit songs Ballad of Curtis Loew, Swamp Music, Call Me the Breeze, and one of Skynyrd's most successful and greatest hits called Sweet Home Alabama. Sweet Home Alabama remains a hit to this day as it talks about the southern state of Alabama as well as the people who live there. The song became equally as popular as Freebird. After the release of Second Helping, Lynyrd Skynyrd reached the peak point of popularity. In 1975, Skynyrd's third album called Nothin' Fancy was released. This album included the songs Saturday Night Special, Made in the Shade, and On the Hunt. Saturday Night Special was also used in a movie soundtrack. This was the time around which Ed King left and Artemis Pyle and Steve Gaines joined. Another interesting fact about the album is that it had Lynyrd Skynyrd's sign on its cover. In 1976, Lynyrd Skynyrd released the album Gimme Back My Bullets with the songs Double Trouble and Gimme Back My Bullets. This was the most controversial period, as during this time, all of the band members were doing a lot of drugs and alcohol to the point that it was harming them. Ronnie Van Zant was also known to be the fiercest and meanest one among them. He would get into a lot of fights in public. He was also arrested for a day and spent the night in jail during the Nuttin' Fancy tour. It was also reported that he would get into severe arguments with the rest of the band members, and then he would beat them up. Moreover, both Alan Collins and Gary Rossington got into a terrible car accident, but ended up surviving it. The accident happened due to both Collins and Gary Rossington taking large doses of drugs. This is where the song called That Smell came from. That Smell was released on the Street Survivors. The song talks about the use of drugs and alcohol leading them down a wrong path that hurt them. Shortly after the accident, they all cut down on both drugs and excessive alcohol. In 1977, Lynyrd Skynyrd released their last album called Street Survivors. This album also had Lynyrd Skynyrd's last hits. These hits include That Smell, One More Time, You Got That Right, and What's Your Name. The album cover has a picture of all the band members standing side by side while the background is covered with flames. During this time, Lynyrd Skynyrd was doing a tour for Street Survivors. One concert was then going to Madison Square Garden in New York City. This concert was a huge deal for the band as it showed proof of the band becoming big and being at the peak of popularity in the rock music world. Another big concert the band conducted was at the Oakland Coliseum in California. They played their popular hits Sweet Home Alabama and Free Bird in this concert. In addition to these, another huge concert during the tour was the Convention Hall concert in New Jersey. This concert played mostly Skynyrd's recent songs that were on the Street Survivor album, but some additional songs were also played, such as Call Me the Breeze and Sweet Home Alabama. Later, they did a concert in Greenville, South Carolina, but little did they know that was the last concert they were going to do. Lynyrd Skynyrd used their private plane to head to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The pilots were very neglectful of how much fuel they needed and how far the destination was. While the plane was in the middle of the flight, the plane ran low on gas. The pilots had the choice to either stop, delay the flight, and refill the gas, or continue flying. They made the fatal decision to keep flying. Soon, disaster struck, and while the plane was crossing Galesburg, Mississippi, the plane ran out of gas. The pilots tried drifting the plane from side to side to try to keep flying and manage a safe landing, but nothing could stop the disaster that was coming their way. The plane crashed in Galesburg, Mississippi, killing the pilot, the co-pilot, Steve Gaines, Casey Gaines, and Ronnie Van Zant. Ronnie Van Zant, no matter how great life was going, was a firm believer that he wouldn't live to see himself as a 30-year-old. He made the statement in multiple interviews. He would also mention this to his family and band members. Sadly, Ronnie was right as he passed away at the age of 29. Street Survivors was released 2 weeks before the plane crash, and hence the album cover was changed since the background featured them standing in front of fire. They replaced the fire with a solid black background to show solidarity. Street Survivors, the true story of the Lynyrd Skynyrd plane crash, is a 2020 American musical survival drama film directed by Jared Cohn and written by Cohn and Brian Pereira. It's a biopic about the rock band Lynyrd Skynyrd. It also shows the plane crash that took place on October 20th, 1977. The part of the script that covers the plane crash was written by one of the band members, Artemis Pyle. This isn't the only film related to Lynyrd Skynyrd. If I Leave Tomorrow, a film about Lynyrd Skynyrd on Netflix, Free Bird the movie 1996, I'll Never Forget You, The Last 72 Hours of Lynyrd Skynyrd, and Gone with the Wind, The Remarkable Rise and Tragic Fall of Lynyrd Skynyrd are all popular films that are based on Lynyrd Skynyrd. In 2004, Rolling Stone magazine ranked Lynyrd Skynyrd number 95 on its list of the 100 greatest artists of all time. Lynyrd Skynyrd was included into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on March 13, 2006. As of 2023, the band has sold more than 28 million records in the United States. The founding member and lead guitarist of Lynyrd Skynyrd, Gary Rossington, is the richest member of the band with a net worth of $40 million. The current lead singer of Lynyrd Skynyrd, Johnny Van Zant, has a net worth of $10 million, which makes him the second richest member of the band following Gary Rossington. Guitarist and backing vocalist Ricky Medlock is the third richest member of the band with a net worth of $3 million. The last of the Street Profits farewell tour was a concert tour by Lynyrd Skynyrd. It was originally intended to be the final tour conducted by the band. It began on May 4th, 2018 at the Coral Sky Amphitheater in West Palm Beach, Florida, and was scheduled to end on October 24th, 2020 at the Epicenter Festival in Charlotte, North Carolina. All tour dates between June 2020 and October 2020 were rescheduled to a later date in 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. When the tour dates were rescheduled, the band renamed the tour the Big Wheels Keep On Turning Tour, hinting that it might not be their final tour. On March 5th, 2023, guitarist and longest remaining original member Gary Rossington died, making this the final tour with his involvement. Even though the original Lynyrd Skynyrd band members are not among us anymore, their story continues to inspire young artists from all over the world. They brought the entire world together with the amazing music they produced. A tragic accident might have taken their lives away, but they still live in our hearts as their music continues to bring joy to our lives. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an update. Also, don't forget to comment and tell us about your thoughts.